Good evening, Warriors! Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2 and the 1% Club. Hope you guys are doing well this evening. Wanted to do one. I probably won't take off Sunday for the Sabbath day, so I won't do one tomorrow, but I'll do one probably Monday morning when I get a chance as well. So hope you guys are doing well. It's getting a little warmer. You know, I like it a little cool. The cooler the better for me, but it is getting a little warmer, so hopefully the temperatures will drop a little bit more in the Midwest here, and we'll get a little more cool weather. Anyway, thank you guys for all your comments. Thank you guys for all your subscriptions, donations. It's wonderful. I am so happy and feel very blessed that I'm able to get this message out and be able to have these for people to go back and view, and I've always had some great comments. And I appreciate all you guys. I am doing a bunch of shout-outs as we go along, but I have a bunch of new ones coming that's been coming this week. I do want to comment on NAR 1992. Just sent me one about the Fountain of Youth book. And I think I do show the pictures of it. I don't have it with me right now, but I do show the pictures of that book, The Ancient Secrets of the Fountain of Youth. That's the newest edition, I think. Now, they may have come out with a newer one. I think this is about 10 years old, something like that. I found one originally back in 1985 that came from 1985 that actually was done, and when I had started back in 1998, I actually was going with my wife through a Goodwill, and we found it, and so I was really intrigued by it, and it's really made a difference, a great difference in my life, and I know thousands of other people as well. And then obviously adding the sixth rite, the sixth exercise, which is the semen retention one, has just been incredible. I'm at 1,000, almost 50 days, I think it is now, and we keep growing, and I just feel unbelievable power, and trying to continue to hold and transmute that into other things is important. All right, a couple of shout outs before we actually start working on. Tomislav is going to have the one that we're going to talk about today, but let me get a couple quick shout outs out here. PuSho, other addictions. Yes, we will talk about other addictions, but when you actually be able to control yourself when it comes to your seeds and not releasing, you have a tendency to have a better shot with other addictions as well, and we'll kind of talk about that. Lion Machine, thank you, my friend. Elliot Jones, thank you. Tobe Van Heirselle, Corleone, thank you. Joelercoaster, thank you. TK2112, thank you. Johnnie, and I think it's 5LBC213. Never stop, my friend. Keep attacking. Odinga, thank you for yours. Brian Alonso, Cheng V as usual. Video System, May Wendy, thank you. Cornelio Specchio and Elliot Jones again. Thank you guys for your comments. I appreciate those. I try to give a shout out to everybody that has a comment at least over the last week or so, and try to recognize how appreciative I am of you guys making comments. So at 3:15 here, let's kind of talk about a topic. So Tomislav gave us a topic. He was talking about how bugs, mosquitoes, used to bite him, and he would have a negative effect of this when he was releasing. But since he stopped releasing, even if mosquitoes are biting him or there's bugs around, they tend to react differently. So let's talk about that, because I think that's a very interesting and very good point, Tomislav, you make here. So let's talk about this in terms of why this would happen and what effect things around you have with your semen retention. So let's talk about that. So remember now, we look at the Bible, and you have a lot of other, you may read the Bible, you may be reading your own Quran or some other types of religious texts, and the whole thought pattern is that God has given you dominion over the creatures, other things within the world. He has given the male especially that dominion, okay? So that means that a full masculine male who has everything within inside of themselves, it's at full strength, should have dominion. Which would mean dominion. That means you don't necessarily have to have abusive power. You know, obviously you're not going to hit animals and those things. I love animals. But you're going to also realize you're taking care of those animals, and those animals need you, right? For food, protection, things like that, just like your family members do. And so as a masculine male, you're supposed to be the one who's actually protecting everything. Protecting the world around you, protecting all the people around you, your family, those type of things are all things that protect you. Now, what does this got to do with bugs and animals? Well, bugs and mosquitoes, basically, mosquitoes are trying to draw blood from you every chance they get. Now, again, if you don't have your nutrients, you're going to be affected differently than if you have your nutrients, right? I've seen people sitting there that's been retaining, and they could sit there and get bit all day long, and it doesn't really affect them because they have enough recuperative power within themselves not to be affected by that. In some cases, bugs, and they'll stay away. Because again, bugs and animal, any kind of insects, those things, they sense things. I mean, they may not have the brains that humans have, but they sense things, in my opinion. And they'll sense whether you are on retention or not. They may not know what it is, of course, right? They don't know what exactly we're talking about here. But they do know there's something different about you, or it's not a safe type of thing to do. And I don't actually know that for sure. Of course, I'm just kind of saying that. But again, if you use logic here, and you realize that when you're on retention, all of a sudden, all the things around you change, then why wouldn't the mosquitoes and the bugs around you change as well? Everybody, everything looks at you differently. And that means, obviously, people, but it also means surroundings around you. So two things that come from this that I think Tomislav is talking about. One is that the effect things have on you, around you, changes when you're retaining. The stress level is less. The drawing of blood or anything else you want to talk about is different when you're on retention. When you're not releasing, you become very powerful. And it doesn't matter what's coming at you, whether it's animals, people, you're going to be a lot stronger and be able to handle that because you have that power to defend your world, defend yourself, defend your family. So that's one of the reasons why, Tomislav, I think you, in my opinion at least, you don't sense the same type of thing when you're on retention. When you're not on retention, you're releasing, in my mind, you become half a man or a quarter of a man, right? Now, I realize I may catch some heat from that kind of comment, but to my mind, that's the fact. The fact that when you release, and I know I've been there for 47 years, you don't feel as strong. You don't feel as confident. You don't feel like that man you should be feeling. My sense of masculinity, even at 61 years old, going on 62, is so much greater now than it's ever been. Over 1,000 days, I feel stronger now than I did when I was 25 years old because I was releasing a lot. And when you're releasing a lot, you just don't feel strong. You feel depressed. You feel anxious. You're losing those essential nutrients that you need. Again, realize, guys, if you can release and have a child and procreate, that's strong. That's strong. That's a strong part of you that is left that body to go start a person. So can you imagine if you lose it for nothing, what are you doing? Just think about that for a second. I know the 1% of you guys who are listening to me understand this, but for those who may have not ever talked about this before, just realize that, if you look at the biblical teachings and all those type of things, you realize you shouldn't be releasing anything except when you want to have a child. And so there's a reason for that, because God wants you to keep all those nutrients. God wants to keep that power in you so you can fight off things, fight off stress levels, fight off diseases, right? I haven't been sick in I don't know how long now. We keep talking about it every session I get, I think, sometimes. But the idea was, I remember I was out of work one day in 2006 or something like that. I think it was the last time. And when it comes to the things we've had recently over the last couple of years, I haven't done anything. I refuse to put anything in my body, but I haven't been sick at all. So the whole thing is that it goes back to what you're keeping inside yourself, in my opinion. And I believe that so strongly now. And I should have done this many years ago, but I just couldn't control. I couldn't control myself, and I just couldn't. I didn't want to believe that what the people were telling me was wrong. And now as I've gotten older and a little more wiser, I realize that blue matrix is just like in that movie. We have to look at the red matrix and realize a lot of stuff we've been told probably is the opposite for certain reasons. And we're seeing that more and more as time develops here. So the question then becomes, is that are you going to continue keeping your nutrients, or are you going to throw them away for nothing? You're going to just throw those away, listen to everybody, and all of a sudden, you know how you feel. I don't have to tell you, warriors, how you feel. You know, you have a short minute of excitement, and then for what? Then don't you feel guilty? Then don't you feel upset? And then you just feel down. And sometimes you're so exhausted you fall asleep. That shows you right there, there's something wrong, right? Because the thing is that that's not how a person should feel. You should be energized. Now, by the way, if you do it with a young lady, you'll notice she gets a lot of energy. She's not going to sleep. You're the one going to sleep. It's because you basically have transferred that energy to her. Now, of course, we're talking about a marriage. We're talking about having children. That's a different type of thing. That, to me, I think is good in God's eyes. But when we're talking about just releasing for the sake of releasing, it can destroy you. And that's why we talk about the effect it has on you with the mosquitoes or the bugs. It does huge effect because everything around you changes. And so I believe, Tomislav, you're exactly right. It would have an effect on you. It does affect on me as well. The second thing is that things sense those things around you. They sense it. You become more dominating. You're a more dominating person. And all you got to do is look at a person's eyes and they know you're dominant. You're like that lion who doesn't need to always come out with their claws. You're dominion. You're like a lion. This is why the Bible talks about the lion a lot. You're the lion. They know you're dangerous. Now, you're not the strongest. You're not the biggest in the forest, but you're the most feared. And that's because you can attack if you need to. A lot of times you're not attacking and you're just sitting there. I've always seen the great types of videos. I watch lions a lot. And when you watch lions, male lions are sitting there just watching things, making sure they're protecting everything. You get females always trying to go over there, jumping on the males, trying to get attention from the males, when in fact, the male basically has got so much goal-oriented to what they're doing, they're not paying attention. And guys, this is what you got to have. You've got to have laser focus on your goals. You've got to be straight ahead. You don't have to worry about bugs, mosquitoes, things like that around you. I know we're kind of an analogy here, but Tomislav makes a good point. These things around you will be pushed aside. They're not mattering anymore. You could walk through a den of mosquitoes and get bit all the time, but if you know where you're going and you move straight ahead, you're going to be fine. And that's the key. All right, great topic. I like that question, Tomislav. It's really a nice question, talking about how things can affect you differently when you're on semen retention. And that makes a big difference. So, moral story, warriors, keep your energy. Don't lose that energy and continue transmuting it so you're using it for good instead of having it sit there and do nothing and eventually get tempted to lose it. All right, Tomislav, thank you for that good question, my friend, along with all the other great shout-outs today. We'll do another one tomorrow. I think Knowledge Bara had talked about don't tolerate BS. We'll talk about that one. And then I'll try to do one. We'll do that one on Monday. And Tuesday, I think I'll talk about Bella Dama, one of our great female viewers, talks about adding more value to a relationship as time goes on. And I think that's an important point that she brings out, and I want to mention and talk about that. Next week, we'll talk about martial arts as well, Control from Dante White. And then other addictions, we talk about after stopping, from PuSho on others and other people too. So we'll talk about those next week. All right, my friends. Anyway, have a great rest of your evening. Enjoy Sunday. I'll probably not do one tomorrow because of the Sabbath. I'll try to get back together with you guys on Monday. Until then, my friends, remember two things. First, every day is a great day to a new warrior. And secondly, and I think I probably said that wrong again. And secondly, guys, remember, always have to keep going, keep battling, and remember, conquest it all, and battle